This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast is Thursday, November the 10th in Belleville, Ontario, Canada. Bit of an overcast day today.
Maybe that's why.
Charity's going to be off tomorrow.
That could be it too.
And the funny thing is she was really off today. Yeah.
I was going to say, we're going to pull the curtain back here and let everybody in.
No, we're not.
On everything?
No.
No?
Because I think people who listen to our show religiously all the time and pay strict attention to what we say still miss half of our mistakes. So it doesn't matter.
But there were a lot this morning. And ridiculous ones. Ridiculous ones.
Unusually, yeah. It's unusual. That's true.
No, unusually, Charity. We have mistakes, but today was unusual.
That's right.
Like the birthdays. We start off with the birthdays. I end with the pulse. Like that's how it went this morning. And then I was telling you a story. We were talking about Mitchell Miller from Boston, that player that was drafted, signed, and then let go. Anyway, We'll talk about that tomorrow more in the podcast. But we were talking about that, and I said, well, he was first drafted in, where did I say? The Avalanche. The Avalanche dropped. But you're like, if you're going to say that, it's Arizona.
Yeah, if you're going to say the team, it is Arizona.
Okay. And then our throwback, which I know you're the winner. Everybody cheer. I can't play any sound effects because I don't have the buttons. Mark won this week with his 30-year-old song, Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You. I know it's from the Bodyguard. I blurt out Pretty Woman. I have Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner in my head, and I blurt out Pretty Woman. That's my morning. That's what this morning has been.
See, here's what I don't want to say. Charity, this happens every day. I just never bring it up.
Not to this, as you said, not to this degree.
And Ted, one of our listeners, sends us a picture of two cats lying down
cuddling together.
Yeah, and it's like, this is what I think you guys are like when I listen to you, and I send back a picture of two cats fighting. But it's really more like this. Actually,
most mornings, but otherwise it was. I thought it still was a good show and it was fun to do. But I don't know if it's the full moon on Tuesday. I don't know if it's because it's cloudy today. I don't know if it's because I'm off tomorrow. But something clearly is not clicking. I told
my wife when she saw the moon there, she said, "Oh my God, it's beautiful." So I said, "Yeah, it's the Beaver Moon." And thank you. Because I didn't
full Beaver Moon.
Full Beaver Moon.
Full
and
Beaver Moon.
And you laughed, okay? And podcast people are like rolling their eyes if you're prudish. And I said that to her, and she said, "They still call it that? Thank you." Because when you say that, people laugh now.
Well, I'm laughing because when I first told you, and I expected it, I knew it was coming. It was a very immediate reaction.
Well, you said it
from
weird.
You. I didn't. I says the full Beaver Moon next week. Mm-hmm. How is that weird?
Yeah, okay.
But I wondered if it was, is October Hunters then?
Hunter's Moon, yeah.
October's the Hunters. Because for some reason I thought it should be the Hunter's Moon because this is the first week of deer season, deer hunting season.
But they named the moon before the government got involved.
I don't know why they would name it Beaver because...
It's November.
Yeah. Are beavers active in November? I don't know. Don't. That's not what I meant.
Not around out.
Okay. Yeah. I will Google it and find out. And again, this is my morning.
Again, careful when you Google it. Careful when you Google.
I never thought.
See? That was Cal's point. It's like, why haven't they changed it? I know,
There'll be walls up if I go too far here, I'm sure, on our computer system. I'll get the message. You're trying to access an inappropriate.
Let me confirm there are. Okay.
And we're off the rails.
What a podcast, everybody.
Gosh.
It's not even what we wanted to talk about today.
No, let's get to the butter boards.
That's gross.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it is gross.
We talked to Lisa Rashad from Community Living Quinte West earlier this week. Mm-hmm. They're having a wine and charcuterie nights, a couple of them with Carly Thompson.
What a great idea.
Yeah, from these four walls. And it's going to benefit Community Living Quinte West. And it's November 17th, so it's next Thursday night from 6 till 9, or December 3rd from 6 till 9. only costs you $100. And I say, well,
But you keep the board.
But it's a fundraiser and you get to keep the board.
Yeah.
And all of the stuff that comes with it. And they teach you how to do this. So now that we're back to entertaining people over the holidays, and let's face it, if you don't have a charcuterie board, do you really like your friends?
They are amazing.
That's the
Charcuterie
point.
boards
Yeah.
are quite nice. Lots of fun.
So we were talking about that. A number of people are like, what? Really? I want to sign up. That's moving.
Yeah.
And then out came this thing you said that's a butter board. So what goes on a charcuterie board? It's like light meats, cheeses, right?
Yeah, like
Pickles
I almost want to say
vegetables.
hors d'oeuvre side, like finger foods.
Right.
So
And
you have an
high-end.
arrange. You arrange meats, different kinds of meats, cheeses, grapes, crackers.
Yeah. If you go to Dollarama
Nuts, that
and
kind of stuff
you
on
buy a big plate with a snowman underneath, you're just putting junk on it, right?
Yeah.
But if
need
you
a
buy
board.
a charcuterie
it
board,
looks so much nicer.
so then you have to do all of that. So
Yeah.
now when I heard about the butter board, I immediately threw up the stop sign. Well, first I immediately threw up. And then I
if
threw
you
up.
haven't, you will be after you hear
So
what it is.
explain, everybody, if you wander over to the butter board, what you're in for.
Basically a butter board. It is exactly what you think it is. Instead of having the meats and the cheeses and everything on top of a board, you literally slather on butter directly on a board, preferably without any holes or cracks in it, because that's gross. But you slather the butter on and you get a good layer on there, and then you put herbs and spices on it, and then you top it with fruits, nuts, whatever little things you want to
First
put
of all,
on it.
you top it with more butter. Like, don't you have layers
There's
of
a
butter?
layer. You can do layers. So the first layer, and then some spices and seasoning,
more
pepper, and then
butter.
more butter. And then whatever you want to lift off the butter. And then you use bread and bread-like products and crackers to then dip into the butter and scoop out what you would like.
Hunks of butter. Okay. Yeah.
Honks of butter with spices and nuts and fruit on top.
My fear was that and then you cool it in the fridge, whatever.
Yes, you
Then-
put it into chill so it
then
hardens
you
a little bit.
You put it out, and then with a knife, you slice off just hacks of this butter.
there it is there.
And then you eat it like, no.
Well, and that's the other side to it. Like
Although
you have
it looks fabulous. Let me just say.
This does look pretty nice the way it is, but I'm sorry, anyone who has gone to any sort of event, you know about an hour in, it's hotter than Hades. So there's that. There's the temperature of the room once you put it out, much like cheeses or anything else, soft items that you have out on your table. It's gonna, you don't leave it out too long. Right. So there's that aspect to it. As I said, the cracks and holes that may be in the board, I don't even want to think what's growing in there afterwards. And lastly, because you're entertaining, clearly, I don't think this is for you and the family. If it is,
right, no.
But if you're having an event and you're serving this, that means you're going to have multiple people dipping into this.
I don't see a sneeze guard in front of that.
Exactly.
And there's butter.
And what's stopping a kid from coming, well, maybe a grown man too, people, grown adults, I shouldn't say men, coming along just sticking their finger in and grabbing, like.
Well, first of all, men aren't eating that. That's gross. Men are.
You don't think
we're gravitating to the pepperettes and the cheese
Well,
chunks.
you could dip your pepperette in it.
Maybe. No, I'm not going to. I don't.
Some would.
But do we draw the line at that?
I would say so.
A butter board?
This has actually spawned other boards similar.
My fear.
Like a peanut butter board.
That's exactly like cheese and crackers.
Any sort of
is
spread,
good.
like cream cheese. You could do a cream cheese board.
Nutella board. Like I know, right?
No, and again, it's on a board.
Don't say no. Somebody will do it.
The difference between this and a charcuterie board is that you're not putting, like, yes, you're placing cheeses on top. The cheese is still above the board, kind of thing, like it's resting on any sort of spread. It's going to get into the board.
Directly into the
board. No
board.
matter how much you wash it, it's going to be in the board. And that to me is just not appealing.
Not right.
No, it's not. So that is a butter board. It's gained popularity in the last month on TikTok. Though, in my research, it was a chef out of, where did I say? I want to say Portland. Does that sound right, Mark? About 15 years ago.
Came up with it.
And was huge in his restaurant. And he loves them.
Sure.
And he does different themes and different special ones. Like he does like a pizza one and like a holiday season one. Like he does it around different holidays.
But all cheese?
And themes. And all butter.
All butter. Like I love, You know, you go to one of our many great local restaurants and they pop out with the garlic bread and the garlic butter. Yeah, and I'm a mess.
Absolutely.
Love it. Out of a little container, a proper
bread.
amount on bread. Proper. A tray full, scoop it out with your hand? No.
Well, and as Betty Walker pointed out earlier this morning, too, she texted and said, with butter going for $6 a pound,
Yeah.
are you really going to put it on a board? No, that stuff's gold.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it. From now on, then, I think this is what we need to do, everybody. When you get invited to a home party this holiday season, and I hope you do.
Yes.
Because it means you're popular and you have friends, and we hope that you do and that you go. I think it's important that you call ahead and ask whether or not there will be a butter board, and that will decide whether I want to go to your party or not.
You know it's going to show up at least one.
You're going to see it, and the thing is,
hey, maybe our Christmas party.
we're going to point and laugh. We're going to be like,
I'm not eating that.
then I'll go sneeze over it. Because I'm going to save everybody else from getting in on it.
You could, though, do like a salsa board. I'm just thinking the cream cheese.
Okay.
If you but I'm saying on the board. Again, it kind of goes against what I just said. But you put the cream cheese in the salsa, you could just dip it off. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I am a cheese, crackers,
On a platter.
Yeah, Polish on a Santa Claus
Charcuterie
platter.
board.
No,
Santa Claus. You're
I
good
can't
with the
even
Santa
do that.
Claus.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dollarama for like $3.
Good to know.
With and to me that's fine eating. With Polish sausage.
I'll keep an eye out for a Santa
good.
plate for you.
Yes, please do, because I only have 8 of them.
Christmas.
Yeah, with a pair of socks, if you don't mind.
Okay.
With a pair of Santa socks and a Santa tie, and a Dollarama charcuterie board.
Perfect.
Which is made of plastic.
I can do that.
And has Santa on it.
Okay.
That is good eating around the Philbin household. Okay, what else? Is that it? Have a good time tomorrow.
Do you want to tee up tomorrow? And
Carrie's
our chat
gonna
with,
be out. Yeah, Carrie Durant's going to be on the show tomorrow. It's a little hard hitting. We've had him on the show. He does a lot of fundraising for minor hockey. Had gone through
Extensive
a
hockey
horrifying experience with the abuse at Maple Leaf Gardens. He was one of the victims of that. Lives here locally and has, I'm not going to say put it behind him because you don't, but has decided he's going to rise above it. Let's say that.
Yep.
And he's back involved with hockey and coaching and at a sport where he felt it really ripped his life apart. He still loves it and gives back. And he's
sees the importance to it too. Sports in general, what it can do for a kid.
So when the story, as you mentioned, of Mitchell Miller came out, the young man who was going to be called up to play with the Bruins, who was in their organization, until a number of the players and the fans kind of rebelled against the idea, and then they thought better of it, quote unquote, to use their language. Yeah. And so he has thoughts on maybe why that wasn't the best way to go around it, and what could hockey do in a situation like that to try and find a far more positive outcome. I see it differently, but it's interesting because we've already talked to him and we'll play it for you tomorrow, is that it's interesting how sometimes when you disagree with somebody, you find out you actually both agree on the same outcome. You just disagree on how we're going to get there. And the thought we had, I had when it was done, it was like, if we all did that a little bit more on the things that we think we hate each other with, you'd probably find that we do agree a lot more with things we don't do. I
was curious to see how this conversation with Carrie was going to go. I wasn't 100% sure what the outcome would be, him having such a hockey background and you being a spectator and a fan and me being a parent. It kind of, I've struggled with this story. So I wasn't sure, but you're right. At the end of the conversation, it was kind of like, wow, like this, we all had different points. We all talked about different things, but the same thing as well. Like it was very interesting.
Best when we get to the end of this. Yeah.
And nobody really has the answer to that, but it certainly has created quite a conversation. And as I said, I've struggled with it because I feel one thing one time and then the next, like a few minutes later, it's like, no, it should be that. Like it goes back and forth with this kid and the situation and my feelings about it. It's, one of the other things that we didn't get into, because we could go on forever, like with Carrie and talk about that when he could, is and you'll hear it tomorrow. And he's he's abashedly pro kid, like they're kids. 100%.
We need to support them, from parents, coaches, teachers, neighbors. friends' parents when you know who
Yeah.
you're right. Like we all need to be involved in kids' lives to help them to become better adults so that when the situation like this shows up, there have been adults along the way who could have helped them that probably didn't and all this sort of thing. And, we can't turn our back on them. And my first thought was, well, I think Colin Kaepernick would like to have a word. Because if you're saying that everybody deserves a second chance, even if they were violent offenders, what do you want to say to the people that just kneeled at a national anthem
Exactly.
to bring out injustice? Because I don't see anybody fighting for him. So
Yep.
it's just,
But he did,
it strikes that chord.
Yep. And as you'll hear, I know we have it running tomorrow, but he did point out the ones who were the violent offenders and how they got a pass too.
Yeah,
So
there are
he's
some
not
in the NHL.
He's not saying that there's guiltless people
Right.
who carried on, that no, like we've seen people do horrible things and yet they're still doing stuff. So why can't we give second chances to others?
Yeah, why did other NHLers who broke the law and continued to play get a pass, but this young man doesn't? So it's really, really interesting.
It does. And
it's
I
a
think,
must-listen-to podcast.
I think it is relatable to more than just hockey, too.
It is.
Of course.
So join us for that tomorrow on Remembrance Day. There will be a couple of candlelight vigils tonight, one in Quinte West, one in Brighton, both around 6:30 around the Legion Halls, which are very close to the Cenotaph locations in both communities. So if you'd like to be part of those candlelight vigils, we'll see you there later on tonight. Otherwise, you're gone for the weekend for a hockey tournament.
Yes, we're off to the Silver Stick in Pembroke. Ben has a tournament starting tomorrow up there. So we
How many teams are in that? Like 16? One of those huge...
Oh, you put me on the spot.
32? They're huge, right?
From now until December. So it goes every age level. Pembroke is hockey. So we're the first one. He's the youngest. So he's U11, which would be Adam. And then next weekend would be Pee Wee, Bantam. So it goes right up to midget. So over the next 4 weeks, Pembroke is just
crazy
hockey from and their teams all over Ontario.
Don't get a hotel room in Pembroke and think you're going to get a night's sleep.
Yeah,
you're not.
you just stay. You have to stay away while these kids are there.
Enjoy it, okay?
Yeah, I think we will. Hopefully they do well, and we'll have a good weekend.
Tomorrow for Remembrance Day and all the Cenotaph services, we'll get you up to date on that as we head into the weekend as well. It's Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. Subscribe wherever you're listening right now so you get it daily up by 11 o'clock in the morning. You have a great weekend, all right?
You too.
We'll talk tomorrow.